Hello and welcome back to this channel. So today's tutorial is going to be about creating a cute animation in Procreate. So let's just get started. So start with, go to this plus sign and let's create a square, which is like the default thing that comes with Procreate. Okay, so the color palette that I've chosen is very simple. We're going to have the three primary colors, that is yellow, blue and red. That's all. I'll share this in the description box below. You can go ahead and collect the colors from there as well. As for brushes, you can use anything that you want. We don't have to stick to any particular brush. But for this tutorial purposes, I'll be using the Studio Pen. That is, if you go into inking, you will see Studio Pen. So we're going to draw a small plant and use the animate feature in Procreate to create this animation. It's actually super simple. The only thing is we'll have to create a lot of frames so that we have a very nice animation. So let's just do that. So first off, we're going to try and draw the pot. I'm going to go to the towards the end of this, and my Studio Pen is at brush size 10%. So just go ahead and make a pot and let's drag and drop to fill it in. Just going to go shore here and reduce the eraser and erase this off. Okay, and now I want to make some patterns on this pot. So this particular pot is going to be constant throughout the animation. That is, it's not going to move. That's why I'm creating it first so that I can duplicate this and then make sure that it's there in each of the layers. Let's go ahead and add some designs to this pot. So click on this, click and go to alpha lock. Now let's click on brush and let's change the color. We can use one of these three colors here, and I would suggest you can use red to create this really intricate design as well. Just going to draw like this. As you can see, since the alpha lock is on, none of the lines will go outside the pot, so you can create whatever you want. Okay, so our pot is ready. I'm going to click on this and disable alpha lock. Now let's go ahead and start making our plants. So for plant, I'm just going to go with the blue color because I don't want to use green in this matter. So let me just go ahead, and since the plant is going to be tiny, let me just make something like this. Okay, so this will be our first frame. And to go on to next frame, now I'll go to my settings and I'll go to canvas and click on animation assist. So immediately you will see this frame toolbar here, which I'll tell you what to do next. You can also click on add frame, but we're going to go ahead and swipe and click on duplicate. We want the same thing duplicated again. And now here, let's go ahead, take the eraser tool, and I'm going to erase this. And you can see there's a very light sketch of what was before in this field. This thing in animation is called as onion skin. That means that you can see what's behind your particular frame. And now you can see this was the original pattern. And now we're going to go ahead and change that. So I'm just going to make it a little wobbly and draw a leaf. And this one, we're going to make it a little bit longer and draw it like this. And let's make tiny leaves here. And here, make it longer and tiny leaves. And here you can give a tiny leaf like this as well. Now let's go ahead here again, swipe, duplicate. Now let's go ahead and erase this. You can make it a little bigger if you want. So that's quicker, but be careful not to erase the pot. You can see you have erased the pot a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to my yellow, take the brush. So let's go ahead and pick blue right now. And let's modify this a little bit. So your plant is growing, so obviously it will go here and then a little bit more. And this one has grown a little bit more as well, and a little tiny leaf. And this one here has grown too. can put one more tiny leaf here for your next illustration. And this one has grown as well. This. Okay, and you can create a small one here for your next animation if you want. Let's go ahead, swipe, duplicate, go to the eraser tool again, and now it's going to grow a little bit more, so I'm just going to erase this. It might get a bit confusing at this stage because what happens is you can see a lot more layers. That is all the layers which were there before. But let's go back, and now I'm going to make it like this. You can always put these tiny leaves so that you can get an opportunity to, let them grow. Looks like there is something in here extra that is being played. Oops. Now let's go ahead and make it a little longer. I've tried to keep the animation very simple, so you see the leaves don't have veins and stuff like that. You can actually go ahead and make it as complicated as you want. It'll just mean that you have to draw a bit more, but that's the fun part of animating things, isn't it? But for this tutorial purposes, I don't want to do that because it takes away a lot of time in giving all these tiny details, and I think you guys will get bored. So it's better to stick to a simple thing. And especially when you're trying out for the first time, I would highly suggest that you use a simple animation, because then it won't get very tiring or boring, because animating is a lot of work because you have to draw these frames over and over and over and over again. And sometimes it might get way too repetitive and you don't want to do that. I'm not going to change the whole plant now. What I'm going to do is, I think my plant is at its full size, so we are just going to modify a few things, like for example this leaf. I'm just going to change the way it bends. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to change the whole thing. Now once we feel that the plant has grown to a certain size, it's time to edit its the overall appearance. So erase only the parts which you feel you want to edit. Now we have to make space for the bud. So I'm just going to make something like this here. It's not a lot of change, but there's this tiny changes which will make your animation actually look like it's being animated. I see an extra dot, so I'm going to erase that. Duplicate. And now again, we'll move the leaves a little bit. See how I make these subtle changes and not really like huge ones, because that's what's going to give it that really nice movement. And now we're going to have a bud which is going to be popping up like this. And let's choose some red, something like this. I still want some movement in my leaves, so I'm just going to go ahead and erase this one. Let's see. Okay, and then I think this one hasn't moved at all, so maybe we should give it a move. Okay, next, duplicate. And now we have to make the flower bigger, but before that, let's move these leaves a little bit. You can tap your two fingers to undo things, and if you want to redo it, just click on this. And now I'm going to erase this one. And this is going to move it up a little bit. Like that. Let's choose red. Oops. Press and hold. You'll get the delete button and you can delete it. Click on red. Alright, and duplicate. And in here, I'm going to make the flower a little bigger. Time for leaves. Okay, let's play. All right, and then now is the final one, I think. Let's see. Well, let's make the flower very nice and big. Let's erase this off. I think I would want to go back to this layer and pick up the red and give it a little bigger, because I think the last time it was a little bigger. Now let's go here and erase this. Okay, we have red selected. Now it's time to make the full flower. So and then let's click on yellow. Let's also go ahead and change some leaves. Okay, so now let's look at our painting. It's too fast. You can edit this. But before that, we also need to go ahead and add some sparkles to all our layers. So let's select yellow, go to our first one, layer 1, and let's add some sparkles here. Don't overdo it. Let's go to the next one. You can see where the last sparkles were, so you can change it, add somewhere else. I'm going to make other kind of sparkles. Okay, let's play it. Okay, but it's too fast, like way too fast. So let's go to settings, and here you see something called as frames per second, and this frames per second can be reduced, and that will actually slow down your animation. Let's look at like this. Okay, that looks good. So in this, if you look at loop, it's in a perfect loop, like it goes up flowers, starts from the beginning. Ping pong is it flowers and then goes back down and then goes back up. That's awesome, right? One shot is just, it does once and then it stops. So let's do loop because I like loop. But I've noticed one thing, that I have these extra dots and stuff in each of my frames because I was being, a little careless. So I'm just going to uncheck all of these. I have only one, and I'm going to go over and make sure that I erase things perfectly. For example, like here, it wasn't erased. Oops. So I'm going to go there and it wasn't erased, and obviously there's this line. So oops, go back and make sure you draw that. but I would highly suggest not doing this way. It would be better if you check the frame once you finish drawing it, and that is immediately. Example, look at this. What is this? This shouldn't be like that at all. So you have to keep it nice and clean, otherwise it will look terrible. And you can press on this selection tool to make sure that there are no rogue brush strokes outside this area, like that. Next, can press on this, and you can see there's that rogue brush stroke. It's going to be there on each and every layer now. As you can see, if you don't clear these things up in the initial layers itself, it's going to get built up and then keep duplicating, so you'll have to do this multiple times. Okay, so now you can check back all of these again. Okay, so now you can see we haven't created so many layers. We've just created 9 frames. So obviously your animation is like pretty short. This is how you can create. You can add more frames in between to give it much more smoother transition, like between each frames, but it's definitely a little more work. And once you're ready with your animation, you can just click on this and share. And now you have multiple options here. Animated GIF, PNG or MP4, and I usually use animated MP4 because I cannot use an animated GIF or PNG in a lot of my devices. I don't know, they just don't work. But for animated MP4, you can just click on that and you can select the frames here as well. Maximum resolution is the best thing to export in, because when you give it as web ready, it kind of I know, it's really bad. Okay, now before that, let's just look at this. We created a huge artboard, but we didn't use all of it. So if you want to go ahead and modify that now, I don't want this huge artboard, so I'll just go here, click on canvas, and then say crop and resize. So now we're going to edit this so that it's just this part. But if you want to keep it square, just do that. You can also go here and say, that's perfect. Okay, and then you can move this so that it fits it nicely and sits snugly, and it's like, it's in the center. Click on done, and then you have a very nice cropped canvas. And now you can also go ahead and remove the background if you want, so that it's a transparent GIF. But if you don't want that, you can just click on this and go to here and click on share animated MP4, or you can also export it as a GIF and give it like this and click on export and save it to your device. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this tutorial. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you create something, just let me know. I mean, I would love to see what you create. By the way, this is one of the ways you can actually create a GIF and upload it to Instagram. I'm thinking of making a video on how to upload GIFs to Instagram. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you'll create something awesome. I think I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.